A very good evening to our honorable chief guest and the audience watching us live today. I, Ari Tiwari, host for today's exclusive webinar on the role of youth in conserving environment and tackling climate change by India's leading environment activist, Mr. Bittu Sahgal, sir. We decided to conclude our general proficiency activity, Go Green, organized by Social Welfare and Development Committee of Vishwakarma Institute of Technology under the guidance of Mr. Bittu Sahgal, sir, who is a renowned writer, environmentalist, the founder of Sanctuary Nation Foundation, and an inspiration to the youth of the country. We warmly welcome you, sir, and we are overwhelmed to have you with us on this occasion.
Delighted to be with you.
Thank you, sir. So I'll start by introducing our activity. So it's a duty to save the environment's beauty, and for the same reason, every year the Social Welfare and Development Committee of Vishwakarma Institute of Technology Pune conducts this one main event named Go Green. This year, even though we all faced extreme hurdles never dreamt before, but with the help of a dedicated team of SW&D and the volunteers, we made sure it will be nothing less than a huge success. Now I request Publicity and Outreach Secretary of SWD and the event head of Go Green activity, Ms. Srushti Rithe, to please introduce our keynote speaker.
Thanks, Aryan. A very good evening to our honorable guest, Mr. Bittu Sahgal, sir, and the audience watching this exclusive webinar on role of youth in conserving environment and tackling climate change. Our today's keynote speaker don't require any introduction, but it's my pleasure to introduce him as he is an immense inspiration and role model to me. So today we have very young, energetic, and prominent personality from India, Mr. Randhir Sehgal. The entire country and international community knows him as Mr. Bittu Sahgal. Today, Mr. Sahgal, known as climate change champion, passionate wildlife conservationist, writer, editor, and wildlife filmmaker. Mr. Bittu Sahgal, sir, is associated with the work of forest wildlife conservation, environment protection, and climate change action since last 50 years. He commenced the world-famous Sanctuary Asia magazine and has been covering wide range of issues pertaining to forest wildlife conservation and climate change since last 4 decades now. He also used to bring out the Ecologist magazine for many years. Presently, he is president of India's oldest non-government organization, Bombay Natural History Society. He started India's largest environment education movement through the program called as Kids for Tiger program all over India and motivated millions of children to take small actions to make huge impact. He battled many issues and threats to our protected areas and stopped many destructive projects and made government adopt the alternate sustainable solution. He has an amplitude to change the people and their views towards our Mother Earth and make them stand up and dedicate their lives towards good cause. Mr. Bittu Sahgal, sir, brought and nurtured many wildlife conservationists in this field and today have been guiding several conservation campaigns. We are very fortunate to have internationally acclaimed personality like Mr. Bittu Sahgal sir today with us, who has agreed to interact with students and live audience of YouTube despite his busy schedule. We are overwhelmed to have you, sir, with us today.
It's totally my pleasure, and it's my pleasure to be with you young people because you are the hope for me after 40 years of fighting with Shruti, with your father, Kishore, and myself. We have fought ceaselessly, but I can tell you the battle has only just begun, and I'm looking forward to interacting with you all because you are the key players.
Yes, sir, very well said.
So thank you, Srushti, and really thank you, sir, for coming here. So as we know, environmental change is a major issue in today's world, and we, the youth, have the responsibility to bring forth changes that can help us overcome these issues. So I would like to invite Mr. Bittu Sahgal, sir, to enlighten us on the topic of the role of youth in conserving environment and tackling climate change.
You know, it will take about 20 days to tell the role of youth, how to repair all the damage that my generation has done. So let me start with an apology first. I am so very sorry that my generation has not looked after your world as well as it should have. That's not just words I'm speaking. pains me inside to know that as long as 20 and 30 years ago, my generation knew what the consequences of damaging the biosphere was. But we continued. And when I say I apologize, my life has been spent trying to slow down the damage, repair some of the damage. But the real work that my life has had any meaning is to share with young people like you what the consequences of damaging the biosphere is and what the rewards can be. And the greatest reward sits here in your heart. Because when you work for nature, when you work with nature, when you flow with nature's tide, you go to sleep waiting for tomorrow to come. You don't feel tired. You may feel disappointed. You don't feel tired. So I would say to you, the first thing that you need to do is to recognize that everything comes from the biosphere. The economy that my generation is so preoccupied with, it is a wholly owned subsidiary of the biosphere. You cannot have food security, you cannot have water security, you cannot have economic security, you cannot have social security, you cannot have human rights. None of these things can you have unless the world itself, the biosphere itself, is protected. वो हिंदी में कहते हैं कि जो कुदरत से टकराएगा वो मिट्टी में मिल जाएगा. Now, when you hear things like this, the idea is not to tell you, oh my God, the world is coming to an end. ये बात नहीं है, not at all. I would put it like this. Your job is to trust nature 10,000 times more than my generation trusted nature. I was born at the time of independence, 1947. At that point, the British were told to leave India and to say कि भाई बहुत हो गया, अभी आप लोग जाइए, let us look after our world ourselves. Now, when they left all the tools of colonization behind. उन्होंने तो colonize किया था इंडिया को geographically. आज के दिन में मेरी generation आपको colonize कर रही है through intergenerational colonization by colonizing your land, your oceans, your seas, your mountains, your glaciers, even your air, as you can see. So these are the issues. But the thing is, ये नहीं, as I said, कि हाय मेरी किस्मत कल उठ के मुझे जाके दुनिया बचानी है. This is not at all the way that you are expected to live your life or even think. What you are supposed to think is this. Each one of you has got cut here, hurt here, bruise here, some problem there, got sick yesterday, got well. There is something inside you that can repair itself like a cut can repair itself, and the planet, it's a self-repairing mechanism. Just go with a degree of belief. Just like gravity, if you drop something like this, you know it will go down, it won't go up. Believe that the planet repair itself, and your job is to make sure that human beings don't do more damage. They don't damage the biosphere. They don't dirty the water. They don't spoil the soil. They don't cause the kind of climate change that has taken place that melts the glaciers and the polar ice caps. बाकी सब ठीक हो जाएगा. The moment you stop, if you look at, I'm giving this introduction to you, and I presume that there will be questions and answers, but let me put it to you like this. All of us are living in an ICU right now. You know the pandemic is around, and an ICU is an intensive care unit. Hopefully nobody should go there. I'm sure each one of you knows somebody who has. But the whole planet is an ICU. It's an intensive conservation unit. We need to return to nature the ability to heal itself. If you get cut somewhere and you keep on scratching it and pulling it and putting dirty things on it, your hand will get, septic, and you might even have to cut it off. But if you just leave it alone, keep it clean, before you know what's happened, आपको पता ही नहीं चलेगा मुझे चोट कहाँ लगी थी. This cell and that cell will unite, it will get together, it will repair itself. So in our ICU, what we need to do is step back a little bit, have faith, And please understand, your job as young people right now is to remind my generation politely, not fighting, hey, aap kya kar rahe ho, aisa mat karo, waisa mat karo. That is not your job right now. Your parents can do that. People like Kishore Rithe and myself are doing that. Your job is to remind them, number one, this is my world. Number two, this planet can repair itself. Number three, nature is much smarter than human beings. We call ourselves Homo sapiens, but nature is much smarter than us, much, much smarter. तो उसमें जरा सा faith रखो. Just make sure that you trust it and all will be well. Now, here is what I feel you can do. And in order to do that, please understand one thing, that you have to have that faith and you have to have the belief and you have to have the knowledge that the creatures that you see around you, the biodiversity that you see, whether it's a bee or a butterfly or anything else, all these various creatures, ये हमारे वन के माली हैं. They are the gardeners of our Eden. They are the ones that can fix the planet. जब हम लोग बंदर थे, ऑर्डिनरी बंदर, आज तो हम बहुत चतुर बंदर बन गए हैं. लेकिन when we were primates long time ago, at that point we were really one of those who were looking after the planet. We took a seed from here and we planted it there. The butterflies came, the bees came. They made this planet green. They made this air livable and they made magic happen. तो पहली चीज मैं आपको ये कहूंगा as young people, that you must understand the magic of reality. You must trust कि जो भी हमने डैमेज किया है सब डैमेज ठीक हो सकता है, लेकिन इतनी जल्दी नहीं होगा जितने हमारे बुजुर्ग लोग चाहते हैं कि भाई फ्राइडे को हमको पता चला कि ये कोविड-19 आया, मंडे को ठीक क्यों नहीं किया. ऐसा नहीं होता है. Everything takes time. Nature works at its pace, and if we work with nature, with the flow of nature, all will be well. So, one, I've heard about all the wonderful things that you all are doing in terms of Go Green, and those are exemplary things to do. I would request you to put one thing, shut your eyes and believe. I would like you all to shut your eyes just for 30 seconds and take 3 deep breaths. Don't say a word. Actually, shut your eyes and breathe inside and exhale. सांस अंदर लो और बाहर. सांस अंदर लो और बाहर. हाँ, योगा में ये सिखाते हैं, लेकिन ये योगा का लेसन नहीं है जो मैं आपको दे रहा हूँ. What I am telling you is, what a beautiful partnership. Every time you took that breath, it was some green plant or the other that gave you the ability to breathe the oxygen that it put out. Even a house plant, even a tree, even a mangrove, even a forest, all the green plants, all the phytoplankton in the sea, everything was conspiring to give you that breath. But that's the story doesn't end there. When you breathed out, you breathed carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide feeds the plant. What a partnership. Can you imagine? तो इतनी अच्छी partnership को तोड़ना, nobody goes to their mother and kicks her in the knee. The earth is your mother. So first respect the earth, worship the earth, understand the earth, and then from that understanding do different things. Just like the biodiversity of the forest, the biodiversity of the sea, the biodiversity of the lake, of the river, of the oceans, of the whole planet, you need a biodiversity of actions. So some of you are looking at seeing that afforestation is done. Another lot are seeing that some water is cleaned. The third lot are seeing कि भाई अगर कोई कचरा कूड़ा है तो either reduce it or treat it properly. So don't worry about everybody wanting to carry a lathi going out and saving the tiger whose picture you can see, whose eyes are watching us. The forest guard will do what the forest guard does. Kishore Rithe will do what Kishore Rithe does. Bittu Sahgal will do what Bittu Sahgal does. And you will do what you do. Suppose one of you decides that you are going to be a poet. तो कई लोग सोचेंगे कि ये पोएट्री लिखते जाएंगे, दिस गर्ल इज जस्ट राइटिंग पोएट्री, व्हाट इज द, बट पोएट्री इज द वन थिंग दैट विल मूव पीपल, इट विल मूव योर हार्ट, and that animal behind that you see is only a metaphor, it is only a symbol, it is only just a symbol. Actually that is the whole of nature. That tiger, it is a polar bear, it is a blue whale, it is a leopard, it is an elephant, it is a wild boar, it is a bee, it is a butterfly, it is even the smallest soil microflora upon which all the food grows. So I will say to you now that you must understand, and from that understanding, you must act. Right now, we reach out to 1 million young children. They are slightly younger than you. And we tell them a simple story. You can't save that tiger if you don't save its jungle. When you save its jungle, you save all the creatures in the jungle, including a tick on the back of the tiger. And in the process of doing this, all the plants and all the habitat that the tiger needs to survive, these come back to life. Ubhar ke, even if we have destroyed them, they come back. If there are tigers, you know that that forest is healthy. Not just tigers, as I said, a blue whale, a polar bear, a giraffe, a cheetah, anything that you see. It is all, these are all metaphors for nature. So just like you would take a thermometer to check your temperature, you can't go and check the temperature of the earth. You can't go and do a blood test for the earth. What you have to say is, bhai, if there are 10, 12, 15 tigers doing well here, इसका मतलब है deer है. Deer है तो deer को खाने को मिलेगा. उसको खाने को मिलेगा, कुछ तितली होगी वहां. There will be a beetle here. There will be a snake here. There will be a frog here. There will be a bird here. And these are the gardeners of Eden, हमारे वन के माली. तो अगर हम वन के मालियों को जगह देते हैं जीने के लिए, तो कुदरत हमें जगह देगी जीने के लिए. अगर हमने ये सोचा कि हम इतने तकड़े हैं कि हम खुद करेंगे सब कुछ, तो डामाडोल होने वाला है, बिकॉज वी आर द लीस्ट एक्सपीरियंस्ड एनिमल्स इन द वर्ल्ड. लोग समझते हैं कि क्योंकि मैं बोल सकता हूं, मैं हेडफोन्स यूज करके जूम कॉल या अभी ये कौन सा कॉल है, मैं आपके साथ बात कर रहा हूं, कोई पता नहीं कहां बैठा है, कोई कहां बैठा है. बट द फैक्ट इज दैट इफ यू सॉ द टाइगर दैट जस्ट वेंट बाय, सबने देखा है आपको. दे वर्क फ्रॉम होम, सो डोंट वरी, लिसन टू मी. द बेसिक बॉटम लाइन इज trust in nature. Understand that as primates, we are meant to live in a cooperative society. I'm not talking of a building, I'm talking of the whole world. If we don't cooperate with each other, we don't respect each other, then all our efforts will go to waste, because it is not possible for you to live alone as an island. I will plant the tree, I will make this, I will do that, I will create things. As now it seems as though if you look at COVID-19, it looks as though oxygen is being produced in the factory. It is not being produced in the factory at all. The factory is concentrating the oxygen, collecting that oxygen and making it possible for me. आपको क्या चाहिए? Okay, I'm sorry, my dear bachas, all of you are working from home, so you understand. But let me put it like this. I don't want to go on and on and on. I do want to tell you that every action, whether you're a writer, whether you're a photographer, whether you're a scientist, whether you're a philosopher, whether you become a politician or a businessman, or you do anything, you can do something for the planet. And that something can be to flow with the tide of nature, and in your own place do small good things, and as not a philosophical thing, but as a formula for success and for life, try to find happiness in making other people happy. If you do that भाईचारे में, आपको पता ही नहीं कि किस किस्म के जादू के साथ सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा. Consume less, waste less. Do not try, please do not try to do everything in one day. You wake up on Monday and say कि मैं ये भी करूंगा, वो भी करूंगी, ऐसा भी होगा, वो भी करेंगे, ऐसा भी करना है, वैसा भी करना है. हाय मेरी किस्मत, ये तो हो नहीं रहा. Don't please get despondent. Go with a smile on your face. Trust in nature. Even today, with all the damage that has done, your world will be better. Let me end my part of this conversation just now by saying to you, with a deepness and a hurt in my heart, that I have lived a funeral every day of my life. Something I have loved has died. Someone I have trusted has let me down. Somehow or the other, a place that I thought would live forever was destroyed. Somebody took some coal from there, somebody built a dam there, somebody built a road here. गड़बड़ किया लोगों ने. But you, do you realize आपके किस्मत में क्या लिखा है? आपके किस्मत में ये लिखा है कि जो भी डैमेज हम लोगों ने किया, मेरी जनरेशन ने किया और हमारे जनरेशन के पहले भी कई लोगों ने किया है, आप उसको देखते, आपके आंखों के सामने सामने आपको दिखेगा कि the river will come back to life, the wetland will come back to life, the tree that somebody had cut, a small leaf will come out and it will become a tree, and you will watch it grow up just the same way as your parents have watched you grow up from small children to who you are today. So let me put it like this: have faith, everything is okay, the planet is self-repairing, but it won't repair if we keep damaging it. So make partnerships with people who have seen the world for the last 50, 60 years. Make partnerships with them, and you are feeding me hope. This session, this Go Green ceremony is giving me hope कि ये बात नहीं है कि मैं नहीं कर पाया तो अभी मतलब गेम खत्म. ऐसी बात नहीं है. This is a marathon relay. You young people, you have to learn everything you can, and you have to allow nature to come back. And please do not believe two things. One, the world is coming to an end. It is not. And two, the problem is so big, what can I do? All these problems have been created by us individually, and they will be solved individually. But you have to find happiness in the process of the solution. और मैं बच्चों को क्या कहता हूँ, बच्चे मतलब आप भी मेरे बच्चे ही हो, लेकिन let's say that when you were 10 years younger, 15 years younger, then we take people out on nature walks, little kids, and when we see a chota sa new leaf coming somewhere, we sit and we say, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday new leaf, happy birthday to you. And the children love to sing the song. वो अपने ही भाषा में भी गाते हैं, क्योंकि कुदरत वापस आएगी, तंदुरुस्त रहेगी, आप खुश होंगे. और मैं कसम खा के कहता हूं कि आपको ज्यादा काम नहीं करना है, आपको ज्यादा पैसा नहीं खर्चा करना है, आपको इतना ही करना है कि जो कुदरत के सिस्टम्स जो हैं, बेशक वो सिटी में हो, पूना में हो या कहीं भी हो, they can repair themselves. That's what I want to tell you now, and I hope that we can have an interaction so there'll be more questions.
Yes, yes. Okay. Yes, sir. I'm sure there will be many questions. And thank you for your words. Like this actually puts me in a thought like, was all this technology, all the advancement that we're having, is it actually good or actually bad for us? That's a real question I'm having. But let's get to the Q&As later. And
Yeah.
thank you, sir, for enlightening us on our roles as the youth. It was indeed very insightful. I'm sure the audience would be having many questions as well. But first, I guess we should show the video of our Go Green clip. Until then, I would request the audience to put their question answers in the chat box. The questions in the YouTube chat, so we'll select a few of them. So this was a short video about our activity Go Green and the 6 activities that we conducted for 5 weekends continuously. So next, I think we can move on to the Q&A session. So first, let's see. Can we call in Omkar Lingare here?
Yes, yes, I am here.
Oh,
Okay.
hi Omkar.
Yes. Good evening, sir. I'm Omkar.
Hello,
My
Omkar.
question.
How are you?
Yes, sir. Yes, fine,
Tell
sir.
me.
My question is that what do researchers predict or says about the effect of global warming in upcoming decades?
See, what the researchers are telling us, first of all, which was a big argument 30 years ago, 20 years ago, is that this climate change this time has been caused by human beings.
Yes, sir.
What has caused it? We took 500 million, 1 billion year old sunshine, and that turned everything, we call it fossil fuel because plants and animals, when they died and they under pressure, they turned into carbon. They turned
Yes,
into oil, coal, gas. So when we burnt that and it went up into the atmosphere, we created a thicker blanket than the earth needs. Carbon dioxide is very necessary for the atmosphere, but not too much. It's like food is necessary for you, but you can't eat 70 kilos of food in one time. So essentially, the thing with climate change is, first, it is man caused, human caused.
yes, sir.
Second, it can be fixed. Most of the carbon dioxide that comes back will be taken up by the oceans. And at this point in time, the most important thing for us to know is that all the various things that I spoke to you about, the tiger and things like this earlier, these ecosystems, when they come back to life, they cannot come back to life without pulling carbon back down from the atmosphere. So I would request you, as one of the first things that I would like you to do, is to read something called the Dasgupta Review.
Yes,
The
sir.
Dasgupta Review. You will be able to get it on, just type it into Mr. Google knows everything.
Yes, sir.
The other thing I would like you to do is to go to a website called www.ipbes.net.
Okay.
ipbes.net. This is an intergovernmental panel on biodiversity and ecosystem services, so that you know that in the world outside, what is the फायदा? ये टाइगर को बचाने का फायदा क्या है? So learn about it, and then from there follow the path that your mind and heart want to follow. And all of you, you don't have to do the same thing. You do like you have done, wonderful, done so many different things. Use your talents. You have got a lot of time, and I can assure you that just because you are having this session और आपके दिल में ये ख्वाहिश है कि मैं इस दुनिया को अच्छा बनाना चाहता हूं, that you want to make sure that the planet survives, we survive, that in itself is the first fuel you need, and keep that fuel going and support each other. It's my answers are never going to be very direct.
Yes.
They're always going to be goal matol. So please forgive me if I go round.
No, sir. Okay.
Oh, that was a
Okay,
great
sir.
answer, to be honest.
Yes, sir. Okay.
So
Thank you, sir.
let's
Pleasure,
okay.
Omkar.
So I guess we can move on to the next question. So the next question here, let's see. Okay, Satyajit Gore seems to have an interesting question. Can we have him here? Satyajit Gore.
Hello, sir.
Hello, Satyajit. How are you doing?
Sir, I want to. I have.
Satyajit, your
So I
connection is
want to
a
ask
little slow.
about
Maybe you
water
can type in
wildlife
the
crossing
question.
and
Sorry. Go on. Go on. Sorry, can you ask again?
Satyajit,
so
can you
sir,
repeat your
I
question?
want to ask water wildlife crossing and why
Can you
do
repeat the
we?
question because his voice is coming broken? I can't hear the question.
Just a sec,
You
just a
can
sec.
type it in and you can read it out, but please stay on the camera. Can you put it in the chat what his question is?
Okay, just a sec. I'll do it.
There was a question on technology, na? So the technology of nature is impeccable. Our technology is fantastic, but it may sometimes not work, you know.
Yeah, but actually that puts it into, like, since we are having all the advancement, that like the advancements are actually one of the reasons why we are having the issues about pollution and trees being cut and all that thing. Like if there wasn't all the railways, we wouldn't cut the forest to lay the lines. So like in a way that is a downfall, right?
Yes, you're completely right. That is the case. But the thing is that technology itself is not the criminal. The criminal is the person who uses the technologies. And there's a difference between science and technology. Science is the
Right.
world's most wonderful thing because it is the human mind, the curiosity of your mind, and the striving to know. This is wonderful. This is why you all are students. But when you get to know, and one person gets a technology which is so fantastic and then uses it against the rest, that's part of human nature. So there's a difference between science and technology. Science is a ever expanding, absolutely wonderful thing. Technology, if it can be used badly, it will be used badly, but you have social systems to make sure it is not used. Satyajit, आपका question फिर से पूछें. I didn't hear you.
Yes, sir. Sorry for inconvenience.
Don't worry.
Okay, sir. So basically, I have heard a concept of wildlife crossings. So I want to ask, what are these wildlife crossing and why do we need them? How it make
Why
animal
do?
or and people safer?
Why did you ask? Can I repeat the question? That what
No, no,
is
I
the use
just
of different species?
no,
Can
no.
you repeat it for me?
I'll say it again. So what is
Sir,
Yeah.
asking is like,
wildlife
since like,
crossings.
okay, okay. So
Wildlife.
Satyajit, I'll repeat
Crossings.
your question once. So what he's trying to ask is, since there are highways built everywhere, so there are overpasses and underpasses for animals to
Ah,
travel through, like above and below the highway, so that animals don't go through the highway and like accidents are there.
understood,
So
understood,
is that a
understood.
good idea, and how should we implement it? I guess that's his question.
देखो,
Yes, yes, sir.
if you want, see, from me, you will get very straight answers. Huh? So I'm telling you, the best answer is don't build the road through the forest. You know, if, after all, suppose somebody had to build a highway, he will not come through Pune, he will not come through Mumbai, he will not come through Delhi, he will go around. The reason that you are having to build it through here was somebody said, ये तो कचरा forest है यार, इसका क्या फायदा है? तो चलो बनाएंगे और फिर उसके बाद जरा सा मलम पट्टी लगा देंगे, एक एक फ्लाईओवर बना देंगे. अरे फ्लाईओवर बनाओगे, मैं मानता हूं कि you cannot just sit back and say nothing. We have already got the world's most wonderful subcontinent. The water's coming from everywhere. We have got the Himalaya, we have got everything. We have built roads. The roads which we have built are not being maintained properly, but new roads are being built. And on those new roads, when somebody like the Wildlife Institute says build 14 flyovers, if you want to build a road, build 14 overpasses, build underpasses. The Ministry of Surface Transport will say, यार ये आइडिया तो अच्छा है लेकिन इतना पैसा नहीं है, I'll build 3. अरे यार 3 अगर आपने build करना था तो this is like I'm going for breakfast and I say, look, I want to have a toast or I want to have a chapati and I want to have this and I want to that. यार वो सब नहीं होगा. मैं तीन तीन आपको एक चपाती 3 में फाड़ के आपको 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 और आपको दे दूंगा. अभी खुश रहो यार, इतना तो मिल रहा है ना. So that won't work. I'm saying that your job now as young people, Satyajit, is to know that the forest is an infrastructure. The river is an infrastructure. The mangrove is an infrastructure. The glacier is an infrastructure. All these infrastructures we cannot build other infrastructures for paisa, because even the edifice of economics is sitting on the fact that the monsoon will come. It is sitting on the fact that when the sun shines, the glaciers will melt and the Ganga and the Jamuna and the Indus and all these rivers will flow. The Brahmaputra will flow from those glaciers. So मैंने कहा आपको कि मैं सीधा जवाब नहीं देता हूं, लेकिन मैं इतना कहूंगा कि कुदरत के साथ मत टकराओ. Understand that building of It's like saying, okay, let me give you a direct example, and then we can you may understand what is in my heart. It's also in Kishore's heart, you know. अरे आपके पास दो किडनी है यार, दो किडनी है तो क्या करोगे? दो किडनी के साथ एक किडनी मैं मुझे चाहिए। आपको चाहिए क्या? क्यों चाहिए? आपके पेरेंट्स या किसी को बचाना है उनकी जिंदगी? नहीं यार, मुझे तो सिंगल मॉल्ट पीना है, मुझे एक हॉलिडे लेना है यार, आपकी एक किडनी में लेता हूं, मैं हॉलिडे में जाऊंगा। अरे दूसरा किडनी है ना, काहे को फिक्र करते हो यार, मैं डॉक्टर का पैसा देता हूं। ये दिस इज द स्थिति इन विच वी आर वर्किंग टुडे, where the only life support system we have is the forest, the grassland, even the desert is a life support system. The mangroves, the forests, the wetlands, the lakes, the soils, even in the farm, the soil of the farm, that is a biodiversity repository. So when you
Hello, sir.
have all these creatures,
I guess lost his connection.
Arya, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I can hear you now.
So this was a perfect example. Don't worry, this was a part and parcel of my talk with you. That technology is a wonderful thing, but don't rely totally on technology. If you rely totally on technology, at some point or the other, it may let you down, but nature's system will not let you down. The sun will shine, plants will grow, the creatures will come, all will be well. And I think I have more or less answered your question, so we can go on to the next one. But if I have not answered it, ask it again. I have no problem.
I guess that
Sure.
cleared his
Thank.
doubt, right, Satyaji?
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you, sir.
That was a really straight and also deep answer at the same time, I'll say.
Yes.
Oh, so I guess let's search for the next question. Okay, I'm not sure if I'll pronounce the name. So is Namosh here? This question looks interesting as well. Oh, nice.
Hello, Namosh.
Yes, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So as we are aware about current situation of COVID-19, do any conservative measures has been recommended by IUCN as a part of overall policy response to minimize the risk of zoonotic diseases being transmitted to humans? So far, any measures been implemented by the government, or as a youth, we can contribute to it?
Beta, the very first thing that youth has to know is that before you look for a solution, you have to understand the problem. What is the problem? Why was it caused? And what could be the way in which we can solve it? In terms of the zoonotic diseases, let's take a very specific thing, COVID-19, which has taken away so many of my friends, so many of your friends, so many of the people you knew. It was predicted way back in 2012. A book called Spillover was written, Spillover, by an absolutely brilliant science writer called David Quammen. Now, he said that look, all diseases that we can identify with, for instance, AIDS, SARS, MERS, Ebola, swine flu, bird flu, all these diseases that I have just listed, which have taken such a terrible toll of human lives, have taken place because a virus migrated from an animal to another animal, or migrated from an animal to us. We are also animals. We are bumped up monkeys only. Now, COVID-19, what happened was that it did start with a bat. It is almost 99% sure that from the bat, that virus migrated to a pangolin. The bats are eaten. You may not eat it, but many people eat it. And as you know, China, the Far East, people even in America, they eat all kinds of animals which are wild animals. Now, every single wild animal will have some virus with which it lives, without which it can't live also. But the immune system of the bat and the immune system of yours are two different immune systems. So when the virus migrated from a bat to a pangolin, pangolins are the largest traded mammals in the world. The pangolins are caught, they're very easy to catch. They are boiled, their meat is eaten, their scales are crushed, and it is sent out as some kind of a medicine that people believe it can solve this and solve that, etc. I'll make a direct statement. COVID-19 was a direct result of the illegal wildlife trade, illegal and legal wildlife trade.
Yep.
In addition to that, it was also a result of mass scale ecosystem destruction. Now, when you destroy an ecosystem, I think somebody's got their phone on. Yeah, just mute your phone. When you destroy an ecosystem, remember that all the species that lived in that ecosystem were locked down in their ecosystem by choice. You don't find tigers walking in Pune, you know. You don't find, these animals would prefer to live where they live. When you destroy their ecosystems, you have brought them into your ecosystem and your immune system cannot deal with it. So you asked a question that what have people done about it? I would say right now it is malam patti that we are applying कि भाई ये वायरस आज तो ये आफत हमारे ऊपर आज आई है तो आज तो I cannot talk about what I will do 40 years later. Let me first make sure that my mother, my father, my brother, my aunt, my friend, my prime minister, my everybody, let us keep them safe. So the fight is right now to see that we understand the virus better and we counter it better medically. There will be problems, but the long-term solution for this and the short-term solution for this is to make sure that a $30 billion wildlife trade, that is people who eat wildlife animals or people who trade in them for skins and bones, or even people who want to capture animals and bring them home, tigers, alligators, chimps, this, that, and the other birds from the wild. We have to stop that because the 30 billion wildlife trade, $30 billion global wildlife trade has caused a $40 trillion damage to the global economy, and it is going to be 3 times that much before this virus is over. So the solution for you, Namosh, is this, that you have to run an adult literacy program. Each one teach one. Every young person teach an old person how dependent you are upon the biosphere and the connections. Even today, many of the people who are working, they know that it came from a bat, but they are doing nothing about protecting the habitat of the bat and to close down. Suppose you know that one place somebody is selling you liquor which has got methyl alcohol in it, which is going to kill you. You shut the shop down. Na? You don't say, Acha, theek hai, if he gets it, let us try and cure him. Prevention is better than cure. In the long run, if you protect the ecosystems, if you protect the animals, and if you understand that your best defense against the virus tomorrow is your immune system. That is why the medicines that they are giving you now are to boost your immune system. They are not to kill the virus. They are to boost your immune system so your immune system can kill the virus. I can go on and on. I am not a virologist. I am not a doctor, but I am an observer. And sometimes you need to go back and observe and say, oh, you may have missed this, you may have missed this, you may have missed this. So when you want to protect the Amazon, when you want to protect the Congo, when you want to protect the Thar Desert, when you want to protect Kanha National Park, when you want to protect the Western Ghats or the Northeast forests, you are actually making sure that you try and make sure that animals and the viruses from animals don't spill over. and those are called zoonotic diseases. And the way to do it is to prevent, but at this point, the way to do it is to survive. So you have to wear your mask, you have to make sure that you keep your distance, you have to make sure that you hold your patience, and that is the way to go.
Yep, sir. Thank you. It was very clear and nice solution.
Okay, I guess that was an answer to his question, and that each one teach one really seems like it would be a good solution to the problem.
Each young person teach an adult because the adults are fixed in their ways. You young,
Exactly.
you can act, but as I said, gusse se nahi. Use science, use your legitimacy that the world is mine. Bittu Sahgal, you are 73 years old. You are going to live another few years. Be happy. I'm going to live for another 70 years. So please take care of my world and don't damage it.
Right. Okay, I guess we'll move on to one last question. Nisarg Nimbalkar. Okay, that's okay. Is Nisarg Nimbalkar here?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay, great.
First of all, thank you, sir. I would like to say that it is grateful to witness such a great webinar on very important topic. And coming to my question, so we see many green spaces and bare lands are now turned into grey infrastructure, that is concrete roads, under the title of development, which do not let the water to percolate into the grounds. So, what measures as a youth we can take to reduce such damage to our Mother Earth, or are there any alternatives which can balance these two opposite pillars, that are infrastructure development and resource conservation?
Nisarg, your name itself is so good and your question is as good as your name. I'll tell you something that you said that infrastructure development. For the last several billion years, infrastructure development has taken place. Can you imagine? Ki not a single animal, not one single species in the whole world has the technology to create waste. So what we have to do is we have to recognize what is infrastructure and understand this. There's an economic principle. If you undervalue an asset, you are destined to lose that asset. So whether it is a school building, whether it's a hospital, whether it's the Taj Mahal, whether it's a car, whether it's your pen, if you have an asset, if I take this pen and break it, I'm not going to be able to use it. The infrastructure of the forest is कि बारिश गिरती है 4 महीनों के लिए और नदी बहती है 12 महीनों के लिए. The dams that we are building are drowning the rivers. और जंगल नदी की माँ है. सृष्टि will tell you, जंगल नदी की माँ है. अगर माँ को आपने दुख पहुंचाया, घाव मतलब उन पे के बदन पे घाव लगाया, उसके ऊपर चाबुक मारा, तो बच्चे को कैसे संभालेगी माँ? Mother Nature, it is one thing to speak about Mother Nature with love, but it's another thing to know with trust. So I will say to you at this point that the infrastructures that are being built right now are temporary commercial infrastructures. We have to have them. We have to have some roads. We must have power generation. We must have rivers. Those rivers must, however, not be destroyed. Suppose you build a new, beautiful auditorium for students, and then you have to build a bathroom. Then you say, look, let us take the toilets and build them in the middle of the stage of the auditorium. ऐसा तो नहीं करोगे ना. You will say, no, the toilets must be somewhere else. In other words, it's a siting issue. And if you need to build 3 toilets, there's no use building 35 because you want a big contract. So you build according to need. And the most simple process of economic reality, if you undervalue an asset, you are destined to lose it. And if you want to run good economics, live on the interest that accrues, not on the capital. So nature itself is saying, ये पेड़ जो मैंने आपको दिया है, एक पेड़ नहीं, 1 करोड़ पेड़ जो हमने दिए हैं आपको, इसके फल खाओ. पेड़ को मत खाओ. अगर आप पेड़ को खा जाओगे तो फल कहां से आएगा? So we have to learn to live with a certain amount of balance and a certain amount of faith. And please understand, no matter कि हम लोग बहुत बहुत चतुर बंदर हैं, लेकिन हम वो आर्ट भूल गए हैं, हाउ टू लुक आफ्टर द प्लैनेट। वो हमारे वन के माली हैं, द गार्डनर्स ऑफ आवर ईडन, बीज बटरफ्लाइज, उनके जिंदगी में जहर ना फेंके। अगर आपको अपने लंच और डिनर और ब्रेकफास्ट और आलू के पराठे के साथ मैं नमक के बजाय जहर फेंक दूं उसके अंदर, तो आप जियोगे कैसे? तो जो बीज हैं, बीज के जब वो शहद लेना चाहते हैं कोई ना कोई फूल से, तो उनको शहद के साथ हम लोग जहर खिला रहे हैं, तो वो मर रहे हैं। तो जब वो मर जाएंगे तो फिर वो our agriculture gets affected, because almost all the food we eat is pollinated by a bee or a butterfly or something like this. So it's a simple thing, kudrat mein, understand it, that it is an infrastructure, and विकास के नाम में विनाश न थोपें। आप मेरी जनरेशन को मतलब सीधा सीधा कहो कि आप विकास का नाम लेके हमारे ऊपर विनाश न थोपें, लेकिन जैसे मैं कह रहा हूं वैसे नहीं। आप उनको ये बताएं, ask questions, be polite, don't shout and fight, don't get unhappy, but do what you say. The truth is on your side, and you have the greatest legitimacy in this earth to ask for a better world, and you will get a better world. I promise you, कुदरत के साथ चलो, सब ठीक होगा। मैं जवाब फिर भी ऐसा ही वैसा ही दे रहा हूँ।
Thank you very much, sir. It is now being cleared.
Okay. Actually, this really makes me think like बोल सकते हैं विकास के नाम पे विनाश थोपना सही नहीं है. So thanks for the interesting Q&A, sir. So next, I would like our chairperson, Ms. Rutuja Lingampalle, to address the attendees.
Hello, am I audible to everyone?
Yes, you are.
Good evening, sir. Good evening,
Good
Arya,
evening.
and good evening, audience, whoever are listening to us. Today we have the auspicious present of Mr. Bittu Sahgal. So I would like to say that this is coming the end of the academic year, and from the start itself, when we started interacting with the people who are experts in their domain, Shrishti was very excited to invite you. We had the opportunity to get Mr. Kishore Rithe as well. So from that point of time, a conversation at least started about environment, about sustainability, about building ecosystems, about valuing the nature. So our Go Green activity was just a small initiation towards getting to understand the value. Because as we observe, for Mother Nature, we think that we are the most important individuals or most important species because we have a different kind of brain, we have different kind of intelligence, we have different kind of memory. But for nature it is not like that. Nature has paid enough attention towards each and every creature that it has made. So even we should have an unbiased eye while we are taking our actions. So every one of us today cannot go ahead and become an environmentalist or advocate for it, but we can show this in each and every actions that we do, because today as engineers we might become the stakeholders of technology tomorrow. So you may be anything, you may be a project manager, you may be a businesswoman, a businessman, anyone, but if you have that in the background of your mind that whatever I am doing, this must not cause damage to my environment. I mean, the environment shouldn't say that why does this human being exist here? Because if something hurts us, if some animal hurts us, or if suddenly you get to know a cheetah or a panther has come into your society where you live, you get panicked, right? So maybe the animals, the creatures might get panicked because of the actions or the things that we do. So having that kind of compassion towards a wildlife, towards even small creatures and insects is also a big thing. Because when we did this small experiment that we made small bottles which had water in them, and we kept those bottles on the branches of the trees across our college. So this was an activity going in our college last year, and we did this for all the plants that were present in our college. We saw that the number of birds that would come into our campus suddenly increased after a time of 1 or 2 months. So this activity happened during the time of September, October, and by December, we saw our college had a different kind of atmosphere, especially when it turned into an evening. So, this observation will only come into your perception when you take conscious action towards it. So, staying conscious about it was the main motive of starting this activity. And Shrushti, along with her whole team, has very nicely executed this, because understanding how can we develop towards ecological sustainability was a big question. And always there comes a point, like when we start conversation on this, there is a block where we don't understand. I think the main problem now, when I heard the whole conversation that was going on between our panelists, I got to know that we have to reframe the question, like what is the problem, who are the responsible people for it, and how can we deal it. I think reframing the question and starting a dialogue between different generations is surely going to help. And I have a vision of creating a separate club under social welfare and development, which specially looks up to environment, talks about it, gets in touch with NGOs and people who are working for it, because educating ourselves first is very important before we go and do something that is really going to make a big change. So thank you so much, sir, for attending this event here. It means a lot to us. And thank you so much, my whole team, that you have executed this event so well. Thank you.
Thank you, Rituja. This was wonderful. Thank you. It was such a lovely experience for me.
Well,
I'm
thank you,
so
Rituja,
happy to have
for
been here with you
your
all.
lovely. Yeah, thank you, sir. Okay, so next we will be having Gambhirya sir here.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I was listening to you from the beginning, and today actually I am carrying some learnings from your speech. Some of them I would like to just underline them. Generally, whenever we think about the nature and infrastructure, they are always option to each other. But today you have said one important statement, that is a nature as an infrastructure. So that has changed the complete perspective of looking at the nature. Second thing, when you got disconnected, you gave the live example that how technology can let us down, but not the nature. That was the example we are carrying. And one more thing, you talked about the analogy of jungle and river, that is similar to the mother and child. So it is important to keep mother happy, so that kid will also happy, right? Now coming to the this particular event, what I have seen in that video, the team is a structure of pyramid. What I have seen, there is a one event head, Srusti, then Om, then there is a Mansi, and there are many 115 volunteers. If you look at the structure, it is a kind of a pyramid, right? And in a pyramid, you know that pyramid is a positive energy, but here the students plus energy, it becomes the synergy, right? And so I have seen a lot of activities like making almost 3,000 plus handbags, bird feeder, then mask making, scrapbook, advertisements, and many activities as a part of Go Green initiative. I congratulate all the members, right, from Srusti, their event heads, and all volunteers and participants for making it a great event. And every time, whenever I participate in SW&D event, I generally give challenge to the next secretaries and next coordinators that this time Srusti has made this as a benchmark. So now, hence, maybe for the next Go Green activities, you can keep it as a benchmark and let's achieve maybe some greater success in the next event. One more thing, sir, you talked about each one and teach one. I would like to tell you proudly that one of our flagship event, that is the Atmabodh, which happens twice in a year. That event also has the tagline, or let's say punchline, of each one and teach one, where basically all these student volunteers, they become a teachers and teach to the elderly students, women, housewives, and last but 1 year they also started the junior Atmabodh event, where they are also teaching to the kids. That is why it is also possible to the housewives to come and attend this particular event. So overall, I would like to congratulate the whole team. And again, once again, I would like to thank you, Sahgal sir, for sharing your experience from your birth, that is 1947, to the all the events related to nature. Thank you very much.
I would really like to thank Gambhir sir for coming with us. He is the programming officer of NSS unit of our college, and he was a mentor and guided us as at every stage in throughout our journey. So really, thanks to Gambhir sir as well. Really, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for it. Thank you, sir.
Saigal sir, you are on mute, I guess.
I said I want to personally thank you also, because everybody needs a guide, everybody needs a shoulder, everybody needs a compass. And you are such a perfect compass for what is now what I've heard you speak so simply, so well. You have all of us, Kishore, myself, Sanctuary, BNHS, we are all your support system. Anything that you want to do, anytime, you will be doing a favor by asking us to do something with you.
Yes, sir. Sure. Thank you.
So this it was really nice talking to you, sir. So, Sagar, after all this talk, I actually had a question in mind. Like, since we talked about all the problems that we have and what all we can, so like, what do like in your opinion, what do you think is what the youth can do? Like at our age, what are steps that we can take at our personal levels, to help the environment in regenerating again, at or in any way? Like, what are your suggestions? So you're on mute. So you're on mute.
My very first suggestion is, don't do something because I said it, or Kishore Rite said it, or somebody said it, or even Gandhiji said it. Do it because you have understood the issue, and you do it for yourself because you believe that you can solve the problem. Second thing is, don't try to solve all the problems of the world. No creature was born on earth who can solve all the problems of the world. So take your chosen path in life, and remember, if you're a poet, write poetry. If you're a writer, use your skills. If you're a businessman, use your acumen. If you're a politician, use your power. All for the biosphere, because from the biosphere everything comes. But let me put it like this: don't try to do too much. Then you set yourself up for failure. If you are yourself only 120 pounds, don't try to lift 400 pounds. But Gandhiji said something. The person who does nothing because that person can't do everything is the worst of the lot. These are my words, not his words, but this was his meaning. आप छोटा छोटा काम करो. एक चींटी के कॉलोनी को, टर्माइट के कॉलोनी को देखो, एक छोटा सा दाना लेके यहाँ लेके वहां, एंड देन दे मेक अ होल भंडार. तो हम लोग इतने हैं. You are such good young people. Do whatever you do, but make sure that you know which direction. If you want to go towards the north, then follow the north star and make sure that you're headed in the right direction. घूम घुमा के आप वहीं पहुंचोगे. So understand the system, understand what you want, make your goals short term, medium term, long term, just like any business would. But do that for yourself, and do not be afraid or ashamed of being selfish. When I say selfish, I don't mean कि आप पूरे किसी के घर में जाकर पूरा खाना हड़प कर जाओ. मैं कह रहा हूं कि do the things which you enjoy doing. Some people enjoy going out into the forest. Maybe you can become a scientist. Some people enjoy sitting down at home and writing. Maybe you can become a writer. Some people have a communication skill, so you become a communicator. Some people have it in them to become a leader. Then you become a politician, but please become a good one. So I'm saying, in addition to that, right now, after this is over, after this session is over, pick up a pen, write a letter. You're in Maharashtra. Write a letter to Aditya Thackeray. He is a leader right now. Just say that if you are looking to support the greening of Maharashtra with natural regeneration, we are your army, we are on your side. Let him know that you support doing the right thing, and equally, please do not be afraid of telling somebody, we do not support you when you are doing the wrong thing. So, Maun Vrat ko todo, compliment somebody, support somebody doing good, and make your opposition known to somebody doing bad. This is one. The other thing is that forget about all else, learn about the biosphere. When I asked you to read the Dasgupta report and IPBES, which I saw you had shared, please understand that you need to know what this virus was, and the virus has come as a small little chinty prick. This is such a small warning from nature. Understand nature and respect it. Nature will not give you any judgment. So you're a very good boy, Arya. You have held this seminar. Therefore, I will not give you COVID-19. ऐसा नहीं होगा. Nature will give only no judgment, only warning and then consequences. अभी साइक्लोन आया तो साइक्लोन ने ये तो नहीं बोला कि नहीं यार ये बहुत अच्छा लड़का है, ये बिट्टू साइकिल अच्छा आदमी है यार, टाइगर को बचाता है, इसके घर को छोड़ो यार. मेरे घर के बाहर 4 पेड़ टूट गए, जिन पेड़ों के लिए मैं कुछ नहीं तो 20 साल से उनको मतलब देखता जा रहा हूं. उसमें कभी कोई ओरियोल आता है, कभी कोई आउलेट आता है, कभी कोई मोर भी आ जाते हैं, लेकिन ये भी ठीक हो जाएगा. कुदरत ने जो किया, कुदरत ने किया. सो कीप अ सर्टेन अमाउंट ऑफ ह्यूमिलिटी इन योर हार्ट and don't try to go to the North Pole to save something. You go right outside your house, right outside your college, within your influence, and make sure that your area is kept clean. If you have a university, try and see how can I use the roof, either to generate power or maybe to grow food. Do the small things and write that letter. Write to the editors of newspapers. Sometimes you don't have to write to protest. Sometimes a forest guard sitting somewhere in Melghat or sitting somewhere quietly outside looking after wolves just outside Pune or in Bhimashankar or in Sanjay Gandhi National Park. Find out the address of that man and write to him and say, आपको लगता है कि कोई आपकी वैल्यू नहीं कर रहा है काम को. मैं कहता हूं कि I am so thankful to you for looking after. Encouragement मिले उनको. If you can't do everything yourself, support an organization that does it. Whichever organization you feel is doing the good work, support that organization. And keep that thing in mind. Consume less, do more bhaichara, get more networking done, have faith in nature, study nature, go back to the future. Remember one thing, in India, we should have exported our attitudes. We worship everything. We worship the mouse, we worship the elephant, we worship we worship everything. You cannot go to any part of India at the source of a river without seeing a temple. The temple may not be like Amarkantak. It will be a small collection of stones. Start the process of appreciation. All will be well, and start with yourself. And don't overbite. You do what you can do today. And just like kasrat karne ke liye, you won't be able to lift 300 kilos. But if you work for 10 years, you might be able to lift 200 kilos, 200 pounds. Don't try it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to tell you. Be amazed what you can do. So this is my long answer to your short question.
Really, thank you for this. Like, really बोल सकते हैं, like ये जो भी धरती पे है हमारा बाग है, हमें बस इसका बागबान बनना है, क्योंकि उस हर फूल की कीमत से बागबान जानता है.
बहुत बढ़िया.
So really, thanks a lot for this session. Next, I would like to call Om for a beautiful poem. He'll recite a beautiful poem for us.
Yeah, am I audible? Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, sir. Yeah. So first of all, I'd like to take your permission. Like I've written a poem especially for this occasion, and I would really like to present it to you.
Please.
Yeah. Yeah. So the soil we live on, it's in a constant state of birth, giving life to all those living on earth. As humans, we've just rendered fear. Blue skies once seen are no longer clear. Crystal clear, fresh as our waters gleam. Denizens of the deep sea, rivers stream. Aves chirping from nests unseen. But now, even cannibals, they joined the extinction team. Once Earth was as beautiful as viewed from the sky, but now it's nothing but weepy cries. No, you can't just blame pollution all alone. As they say, you reap what you have sown. Save this, save that, save all. This everything seems to be a future's call. Search for a solution to curb pollution. Solutions are there to purify air. Let's plant a tree, make earth pollution free. Protect that's been given at liberty. the water, the skies, wildlife, and our trees. If not for thyself, think of generations to come. They'll curse us because we are the ones vandalizing lives on earth in tons. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you
Thanks
so
a
much,
lot.
Om.
I hope you liked it.
I loved it and I clapped, but at that time I wasn't on the camera, and I will
Thank,
say to you that it's the
thanks
poets,
a lot. It's really a
writers,
pleasure.
it's the poets, it's the writers, it's the dancers, it's the philosophers, it's the thinkers, it's the mothers, it's the students who will change the world, not my generation. My generation is too fixed in its ways. There are too few of us who feel that this earth belongs to you. So you have to just believe in yourself and do the right thing and create unity, not disunity.
Exactly.
Each other and with nature.
Yes, and we assure you that we'll try our best to carry on this legacy that you have created since so many years. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Arya,
Thanks a
every
lot.
single member of your college, every single student in your college, every faculty member, please know that Sanctuary Magazine, take a year's subscription free. It is digital right now. We
Okay.
produce one for children and we produce one the next month for adults. Now, I presume that you are halfway between children and adults for me, but you'll get all
Yeah.
12. So all you have to do is that just write to Shrushti, and I will work with her and our team will work with her, and they'll just get it to read it whenever, and it will give you a snapshot of what is going on, not just now, but even 40 years ago. The history of the conservation movement is there in Sanctuary. And please join the Bombay Natural History Society. I would like each one of you to join the Bombay Natural History Society. It may be the best investment you make in your life, because you will learn more from the Bombay Natural History Society about how the biosphere works. Thank you very much. I am so happy to be here with you and very proud to be with people who I know will carry the baton forward, and we will win the race, और हम सच में होंगे कामयाब.
होंगे सर जरूर. Thanks a lot for your time that you've given, and actually हम वो करेंगे. So next, I would like to hand it over to Mansi Ahire and Om Dhamale for the vote of thanks. They are our functional executive heads.
Yeah, so I guess Mansi couldn't make it right now as she is facing some technical issue. Yeah, so first of all, good evening, everyone. Ourselves, Mansi Ahire and Om Dhamale. So we are the function executive heads under the guidance of Gambhiri sir and Srushti Rithe. We have carried out this activity Go Green, and over a span of 5 weekends, we've conducted a lot of events, a lot of activities, and we've had an amazing response from everyone. So I'm here to present a vote of thanks for today's webinar. And first of all, I would like to thank our chief guest and a keynote speaker, Mr. Bittu Sahgal sir, for visiting us and enlightening us with his knowledge. Also, and so like honestly, the webinar, it was like indeed it was very informative, and it surely gave, I guess it surely gave our audience a deep insight about the topic, which like whatever you mentioned, whatever precautions we need to take, I guess we'll carry on this forward and make ends meet. Yeah. And we are pretty sure that the precious words of wisdom by Bittu Sahgal sir will definitely help us in the near future. We would also like to thank our Professor Gajanan Gambhire sir for his timely guidance, and also to all the participants for showing great enthusiasm and making this event a huge success. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.